Hey Explorers, and welcome back to Pip Explores. This week we're talking about the best types of food to take underground.
When you ain't got no money, you got
So I did a lot of research for this video, and I have two main sources, and I'm going to link to them in the description below because I'm not a scientist nor a dietitian, but other people are, and I am good at Googling. So with that said, we're going to dive right in. So caving is a very different environment than a lot of other activities. It's so different from other activities that NASA uses caves to train their astronauts for space because it's that foreign. So talking about the food intake that we're going to need underground is a huge thing because it's very different from other types of exercise. So there is this study done to figure out how much energy cavers actually use when caving called Energy Expenditure in Caving, and that is linked in the description below. So what they did is they took some cavers underground for 10 hours, measured their calorie loss and a bunch of other sciencey things, and came up with some conclusions about how much energy we actually use when we're caving. So on this 10-hour trip, they found that on average, between male and female cavers, they were expending between 225 to 287 kilocalories per hour on average. However, those same cavers only ingested between 1,000 and 1,200 kilocalories. So what is that saying? That's saying that most of these cavers were ingesting less energy than they were expending. That's not great, and it can't be sustained for long periods of time. They were only underground for 10 hours, but on an expedition cave, you can't do something like that because your body is going to shut down. So something that this study said that I really liked was that cavers must sustain an overall elevated energy expenditure. Now, what does that mean? It means that when you're caving, you have a constant higher level of energy expense that you're putting out, as opposed to some activities where you get like short bursts of high levels of energy. Caving is more sustained at that higher level. Another thing that you have to think about when you're caving is staying hydrated. Because caves, especially in this area, are super humid, 80 to 100% humidity all the time, you're less likely to drink water. You're less likely to feel thirsty. Additionally, your skin temperature is elevated. This is a combination of the temperature of the cave, the humidity, and the amount of clothing you're wearing. But this results in an elevated skin temperature, which means you're sweating, obviously. But when you combine the fact that you're probably not drinking as much water as you normally would because of the humidity in the cave, and you're sweating a lot because of the temperature of your skin in the cave, it means that you're more likely to get dehydrated and lose a bunch of those salts that we need to function correctly. So hydration is also super important, and not just drinking regular water, but keeping in mind that you need those salts and electrolytes in your body to remain high functioning. Now, thinking about all of this, you might think, well, I only go on a couple-hour cave trips, so it doesn't really matter. And you would be right. If you're going on short cave trips, you can get away, skate by with a lot of bad nutritional habits while you're underground, because as soon as you get above ground, you have access to a wider variety of foods, and you can replace all of those calories and energy that you lost. However, having depleted energy underground is never a good idea because it can lead to serious injury, which can result in a cave rescue, which always puts your rescuers in more harm. So if we want to make sure that we're not getting rescued, we should be carrying an appropriate amount of food and appropriate types of food. Now, that's a lot of information. How do we use this? What does that mean for the types of foods we need to carry? What do I need to pack in my pack? Well, you have to think about a couple of things. The first thing is that you have to remember that you're caving. So I can't take a 5-course meal. I really can't take most things because the cave's gonna beat them up. I can't take a banana no matter how much I love bananas because it's a bad idea. And if you've been on a cave trip with somebody else who's taken a banana in the cave, let me know, because for some reason that is such a common thing to take underground on your first cave trip. And it's not a great idea. It always ends up badly. So one of the things you do have to think about is how durable is the food you're taking? How can you keep your food safe and edible so that it's not waterlogged and disgusting and squished and just not appetizing? The other thing you have to think about is what type of caving are you doing? Our bodies process different types of foods in different ways. So the first main energy source that we get are carbohydrates. We all love carbs. And carbs are our fastest energy releasing food. They also require less water to metabolize, which plays back into that hydration thing. You don't need to consume as much water to process these carbohydrates. Now, the main one that you're going to see underground are simple carbohydrates. These are your sugars. So your dried fruit, your regular fruit, your chocolate, all of that is going to give you that simple energy and that quick fix. This is great if you are caving and you notice you have somebody who's like really down, they've kind of gone inside of themselves. Simple carbohydrates, those sugars, is going to give them an instant energy boost and they're going to feel better immediately. However, simple carbohydrates are not long lasting. They give you quick bursts of energy, but they do fade very, very quickly. Complex carbohydrates are going to give you longer energy that's still pretty fast. It's going to give you a lower blood sugar level than like a simple carbohydrate would, but it's going to be longer lasting. And these are things like breads, potatoes, you know, those real carby carbs that we like to think of, because our bodies take longer to metabolize those. So it's going to give you a longer stretch of energy. But if you're looking for something that's going to give you long lasting energy, then you're going to want to look at proteins. So proteins are our middle of the road energy. They are not as fast as carbohydrates, they don't take as long as fats, but they're that middle of the road. They're going to give you that longer lasting energy. So if you're on like an 8, 10, 15-hour cave trip, you're going to want some proteins that you're eating throughout, so because those are going to maintain a higher level of energy. And the last way that our bodies process energy is through fats. Now, fats are our slowest form of energy, but they're the most efficient. They actually provide about twice as much energy as carbohydrates or proteins, which is super cool, but they take forever to be in effect in our body. That's why you get those fatty stores, because if it's not immediately used, it's saved for later. And keep in mind that your fats are stores of energy that your body is waiting to tap into. Fats are not necessarily a bad thing, especially again, if you are on a super long and you know that you're gonna need a lot of energy throughout your entire time there, then having some fats in your diet, in your food, is a great thing because it's going to provide that longer energy. It takes your body longer to access that energy, but when you do, you get twice as much as when you just pop some sugar into your mouth. So I hope that this was super helpful. I learned so much doing the research for this video, and I'm so excited to be able to share what I learned with you guys. If you have any of your favorite caving snacks, personally, I've always loved taking Lunchables underground because they've got those simple carbohydrates, they've got some complex carbohydrates. They also have like a candy bar, which is sugar, which is again simple. So it's got a bunch of different types of things. And I love taking Lunchables underground. I don't know how they survive, but somehow they do. So let me know your favorite cave snack in the comments below. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Piff Explores. Don't forget to check out our website, piffexplores.com, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.